Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Myself Tarmang Makwana. I am the DevOps professional working in Panamic Sciences since last more than a decade, and I'm here to explain the fundamentals of Istio with AWS EKS. So let's get started without wasting any further moments. So first of all, we need to learn what is Istio. So Istio is nothing but the service mesh developed by Google to implement the organization to run their distributed traffic in a Kubernetes cluster. This is quite complex, right? So first, let's understand what is service mesh. So service mesh is nothing but it's just a tool that helps to insert the security, observability, and so many other things at the platform layer instead of the application in a Kubernetes cluster. That means the actual application development can focus on the actual business logic rather than implementing the additional component which are very essential though, but still it is a layer abstracted on the Kubernetes cluster that will help us to implement such kind of security, such kind of observability, and such kind of so many other things that is required and essential as a part of the security and the best practices. So service mesh again is just nothing, it's just the open source tool that abstracts certain level of logic at the platform layer and helping the developer to focus on the application code on the business logic. Now the Istio is just an implementation of service mesh being done by the Google, and it is an open source tool that can everybody can use and everybody can leverage the benefit out of it. So this is a overall Istio architecture that you are seeing, where you see that when you implement the Istio in your Kubernetes cluster, a sidecar proxy is getting injected along with your application container or the pod. Okay, and that sidecar proxy is referred as a data plane in the Istio architecture. So that sidecar proxy is helping us for the service to service communication, implementing the network policy, having the certain a deployment features like the canary, a rollout and the rollback, and even a telemetry can be implemented to see the exact things ins and out from service and the network layer. Along with that, when you talk about the Istio architecture, it has the control plane beneath, which is nothing but the component deployed in a Istio namespace. Okay, that's a Istio system namespace to be precise, where it has Istio D working as a daemon, it has an ingress gateway, that has an egress gateway. So this is a overall Istio architecture in very high level. Trust me, Istio itself is a huge ocean and it contains so many features that cannot be covered in a very small lecture. But still, I am trying to cover the things on a high level that give you the dots which can you connect. Okay, so please bear with me. So if you talk about the Istio benefit, it conveys the SSL end-to-end encryption from Kubernetes service to service communication. It comes with the traffic management. It comes with the observability. When I talk about observability, that means you can have the certain things implemented as a telemetry that will provide you the accurate information, where the components are communicating, how it should be allowed, which service should communicate to which service, that something can be implemented. And you can have the deployment automation, just like if you want to deploy the canary deployment process, then Istio is the right tool for you. We have the AWS mesh, which is alternate option of the Istio. We have the something the service mesh available from the Nginx. There are HashiCorp console available as a service mesh. So there are so many things, but Istio is one of the major components still now in the market, and it is providing all the essential need that the service mesh can have. Now, to understand the Istio at a very basic level, let's just assume that you are deploying your application in a Kubernetes, which is on a Kubernetes EKS cluster. So if I talk about the non-secure application without Istio, so what could it be? You have your ports, okay, you have your replica set at the beneath level, maybe the multiple ports, and on top of you have a service called the load balancer. So when you have the load balancer as a service, that means that it is actually procuring the classic load balancer in AWS, and the traffic's coming to the classic load balancer and traffic coming to your service, and then it is routed to a pod. which is everything non-secure. Okay, and that's the problem resides. Now, what we need for the enhancement of this architecture is this. We don't need the classic load balancer. We need the application load balancer, and that application load balancer should be equipped with the certificate manager where the SSL termination take place. After the SSL termination, when the requests route to the Kubernetes cluster, even though at that time we need that the request should be secure. And after that, when the service to service communication happen from service A to service B, if the communication is happening, we need that service communication is also going to be, or it also should be in an encrypted mode. That's why where the Istio comes into the picture. If you see the next updated architecture where all the components are being provided as per what we discussed as the upgraded architecture. This is one of the client where we try to provision this kind of scenario and we successfully implemented, and that's how the architecture look like. So when any of the user is accessing our application from its browser or from its mobile application or anywhere else, it is routing to the application load balancer. Application load balancer is attached with the application certificate manager, that's AWS ACM, okay, where the SSL termination is take place, which is very secure. Now the load balancer is outside component of the Kubernetes. We need the load balancer to route the request to the Kubernetes cluster, but that request should be routed in encrypted mode. That's why we comes as an Istio-Ingress gateway. Istio-Ingress gateway is the incoming gateway for all the requests coming from the outside of the Kubernetes cluster. Now, once the Ingress gateway logs the request from the load balancer, it routes the request to the uh, gateway, Istio gateway. And from the Istio gateway, it will have a service to service communication using a component called the virtual service. And each service to service communication, previously, if you see the older architecture, the service to service communication is in a plain text. But when you are into the Istio, having the sidecar for your network communication, that is being considered as a mutual TLS encryption from even service A to service B in your Kubernetes cluster. So that's how entire Istio is working. When we talk about a specific component of a Istio-Ingress gateway, there is a lot more in Istio, but just we are focusing on these particular things. And now we can focus on the actual implementation, and I can show you the custom resource definition and an entire existing things that has been provisioned. For that, there are certain requirements we assume that you should have. You should have a valid AWS account with the valid IAM user access. Secondly, you should have the basic knowledge of AWS EKS, Kubernetes, and the outside load balancer and the ACM all together. And you should have the basic idea about the Kubernetes object like a pod, services, gateways, and like that. In order to that, considering the situation where you have the basic fundamental knowledge available with you, I am going to explain the live demonstration of the non-secure application versus secure application. How you can make the application architecture better by configuring the Istio as an Ingress gateway for your AWS account. With this note, I am going to provide you the implementation part in the next chapter or maybe the next video coming up. Stay tuned. Have a good day. Bye bye and good night.